Hello there, and welcome back to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast that uses the same intro and still messes it up every time. I am Corey, joined as always by Mr. Justin Eckhart's Ladder. What were you about to say there, Justin?
I was going to say we may be the only Star Wars podcast to have ever covered this book.
That might actually be true, because tonight we are talking about Boba Fett, the Attack of the Clones
You don't know the
unofficial
name of it either, do you?
novelization.
It's Fight to Survive. That's the name of it.
That's what I
Oh, did you say it? Okay.
that's what I said.
It sounded like you were like pussyfooting around saying it. You said like the Boba Fett Attack of the Clones novelization.
Yeah, I was gonna get there.
I had to look up Boba Fett kid book on Google just to check.
You just read like a bootleg that is absolutely not the actual book.
It was Boba Fett. His dad died and he had to take over his pizza shop.
I'm pretty sure that's a Trailer Park Boys plot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we are talking about The Fight to Survive, the first of 6 young reader Boba Fett books.
Junior
novelizations. If you acquire some of your Star Wars books through where Justin and I get them, it is in a folder called Juvenile as well.
Is that where it was? Okay.
Did you not find it?
I just searched it.
Okay, yeah, that's where they live. I mean, totally official, like purchased copies. It's just there's a recommended folder set up to store them in, and that's the only thing I'm talking about.
I've got it. Yeah, I got it right over there. Yeah. It was in that one.
Inside Max.
Yeah.
But yeah, so different authors for the first 2 and the last 4. So we're gonna have to keep an eye open for some thematic and tonal shifts here. After that author, this author whose name I definitely know, got
Terry
fired.
Pearson?
Is what we're gonna. Yeah, that's what we're going with. Terry Pratchett. But before we get into both. Terry Pratchett Star Wars novel would be actually pretty amazing. Can we get
specifically young Boba Fett Attack of the Clones tie-in novel.
Yeah, we got some people on that. Reach out to his estate.
You got a Ouija board?
Woohoo! That's a little Ouija board. Sorry, but any Star Wars news for us to cover before we get into this? There's one, so I'm setting you up for a donk here. I think. Yeah,
you know the news. There is news.
Know the news as well. There was news.
What? Oh, Bad Batch.
Bad Batch trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Bad Batch trailer. It was good. I'm excited. I'm very excited. We talked about this last week. Like I predicted, the trailer looks great, but I can't say like I'm super excited for it just because I know what we're getting with the Bad Batch. I just need to watch the episodes. Be the same with the Clone Wars, really.
Yep. So there is one thing that came out of that trailer that is relevant to the podcast, where we were gonna do Destiny's Way next week, but what we're thinking is should it be next week? Did we talk to Zach about the specific date?
Zach's already read it, so I think he should be good. Yeah, let's do it next week.
Okay, so what we're actually going to do next week is read Dark Disciple, the Ventress book, considering her upcoming appearance in Bad Batch season 3 and the internet being lit on fire by the idea that there could be a contradiction, but we don't know how she's back, so we'll see. So we're going to read Ventress with special guest Zach, who's been on the podcast before. I forget what he was on for. No, oh right, yeah. While you were gone, me and him read one of the books, but you were here for Scourge. Was that Ilkin or Zach?
Was I here for Scourge? I don't think I was. I think that was while I was.
I think that was actually Ilkin though. So I forget what Zach and I read. Heir to the Jedi or something. Light of the
it could be
the Luke Skywalker book from the Galactic Civil War era that was like in canon, but not. I think that's what it was. I completely forget what happened in that book though. But yeah, so Dark Disciple next week, which I'm excited for. So
that'd be good. I don't know when the last time. I don't know if I may have never read it before. I'm trying to think. I know it's kind of early new canon book. I mean, I'm sure I know what happens in it, so I feel like I've read part of it, but I might have also just completely forgotten it.
Yeah, I've never read it, so it'll be a new experience for me. But yeah, so that'll be next week, and
Zach
then
said it's one of his favorites, though.
Yeah, so he was, as soon as we mentioned it, Zach wanted to be on board with that. Yep. So that'll be February 1st. We read that. Then the The following weeks, we'll probably do more Boba Fett, and we'll get to Destiny's Way in the lead up to me not living here anymore.
Right. How many weeks do you have left?
I am moved. Like, I get the house February 29th.
Right.
But our actual move, so because of
Because it
how
was supposed
everything
to be
lined
in
up.
March, but it got moved,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It was going to be like a week later. It got moved into end of February. So we have this place till March 31st. And
Right.
we're going to be like, our movers were already booked
Just
for March 12th.
trashing it.
Yeah, just absolutely demolished. There's going to be so many little holes in the drywall from unscrewing stuff. It's crazy.
Bye-bye damage deposit.
That's not legal.
Oh, for drywall holes?
Well, you can't do security deposits like that.
Oh, really?
Or damage deposits.
Oh.
Yeah, you can get the last month's rent as a deposit, but
Mhm.
it can't be used to pay for damage. It is 100% last month's rent, and
Oh.
then anything
I didn't
else
know
is
that. I mean,
extra.
I've only ever rented one place, and it was in Toronto, so you'd think I know that, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on the up and up or whatever the expression
Yeah,
is.
a lot of landlords will try to do that kind of thing, but they can't. So
My landlord said one animal, and we just blatantly fucking lied to her and then hid the cat whenever she came over.
I don't think the no pet clauses are allowed anymore either.
They weren't when I was there, but it was a private condo.
Yeah.
So it was
right. Condo fee or condo rules can be different.
Yep.
Compared to
We were renting a condo.
renting.
So
Yeah. Well, technically, they can refuse to rent to you if you have a pet, but they can't. If you say I don't have a pet, move in and then get a pet, there's nothing they could do.
Oh,
So,
okay. I didn't know that part.
But this is actually very relevant to this book because we are exploring Boba's life in Attack of the Clones. So the first half of the book is Attack of the Clones. It is Boba just go like it's Attack of the Clones from Boba's perspective and a bit of his life there, and then it goes into his first few days without his dad around. And so getting together the money for a security deposit or for a deposit on a new apartment is going to be, I think, a big part of this series. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to come about. But what were your general thoughts of?
I mean,
Boba
I already
Fett
know
here?
you don't like it, but I did.
Is it okay? So I liked it more as I went through it, but the first few pages, the writing is just so melodramatic, and it's like Boba
It
had
is.
lived on
I totally
Kamino.
agree, but I thought it was comparing it to like the other young children's book. I thought the writing was a million times better than Children of the Jedi.
Oh, for sure. But I think this is also aimed at maybe a little bit older than Children of the Jedi or
Yeah,
Jedi Prince, rather.
I got this. Oh
Not
yeah,
Children
sorry,
of the
Jedi
Jedi.
Prince. Yeah, still better though. I got this when I was 10, and I feel like I was pretty much right squarely in there. This was one of the first Star Wars books that I really, really remember. I feel like it was kind of like right squarely in my age range. I remember it came in like a big silver hardcover. Well, not that big, but I tried to find it at home and I couldn't. But I'm gonna look again.
It's I unlike some of the other ones that we've read, like the Young Jedi Knight stuff, I hadn't read this one before as a kid. Like I think I'd read one or two of these books from this series, but just because they were in my aforementioned teachers, like from the last few episodes, his little library thing. So I think the Crossfire one was in there, and that's why it sticks out to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember a single thing from it other than the plot of this being kind of familiar because I've seen the movie version of it. It's kind of crazy that this is like out of all the Star Wars books, this is the one that gets a movie adaptation.
Yeah, it was just so popular. The 10-year-olds demanded it, and they're a powerful group.
I guess we don't really need to give a plot overview for the first half, at least, because I mean,
So Boba Fett's a kid. He's got no friends, not one.
No friend. That's
no
true.
mom,
That's very emphasized.
No mom, no bitches, and later no money.
He does think Padme is hot and also wants her to be his mom, though. So he's got
I respect that.
I think it does a good job at setting up like incel Boba from the other books.
Totally.
Where like there's the one Lango lesson from Django, which are annotated as parentheses JFC, which means something entirely different now.
Yeah,
so I thought that was fun.
Yeah,
but no women were involved.
No, he's Jordan Peterson, the clone.
Hell,
We're in
no
hell.
women were involved.
Listen, Boba, keep your room clean. The other clones, they don't do it. You will.
This is why this army is all men that look like me.
The other
Otherwise, there'd be
clones behave like
chaos.
lobsters. Not you. Not you.
All the lobsters get eaten when I put them in the pond. Because Boba is left in charge. The Django goes out on some errand, and because the theme of the book is surviving.
Reading is good.
the
Oh, yeah.
weak, yeah.
I think I
Well,
said the
yeah,
theme of the
reading is
book is
good.
reading
The
is
other theme as well,
Yeah.
because Boba reads like actual, honest to goodness hardcover books,
Yeah.
like paper
It's
and
just,
everything. On
unfortunately, it
Camino.
is just Mein Kampf.
Is that is the description of the books that Boba's reading about kids going on adventures, is that accurate to Mein Kampf? I haven't read it.
I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the only thing he's got in the world is books. I like this. The reason why I like this book so much as a kid is because yes, his dad dies and that sucks, but like at the same time, it's kind of epic because he's got Slave One, he's got
This is
money
why I
waiting.
didn't invite you to my mom's funeral.
Yeah, I'm like, Corey, you could do whatever you want now.
You've got the
your mom's car,
minivan.
yeah. You got one tank of gas left. You got the whole galaxy ahead of you, and I'm not sure if I got the second book, but I remember reading the end of this one and being pumped. I was like, I want to see what he does next.
Live with Count Dooku in a very Lemony Snicket style.
Yeah.
You haven't read that, right?
Oh yeah, but as a
We've
kid,
talked about it
yeah.
before. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically the kids going to live with Count Olaf.
Count
instead
Olaf.
of
Yeah,
Count Dooku
I
in that
don't know
book.
if I read it. Isn't there like 30 Lemony Snickets? Like, I'm sure I've read.
I think there's like 12 in the main thing, and then there's a few spin-offs, but I don't know. I actually only read it recently.
Series of
They're
Unfortunate
really
Events,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Wow, the dude that wrote that is only 53 years old.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, they came out like early 2000s.
So what, did he write it when he was like 30? That's crazy.
Yeah. Then
Good
they've
for
made
him.
2 movie adaptations about it.
He wrote the first Lemony Snicket book when he was 29 years old. That's crazy. I just mean that seems young to, pen the beginning of such a successful series, does it not? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just
I don't know. I don't think
lost the
so.
plot.
Like a lot of
No?
the how old is Michael Stackpole? He's only like 60 or 70. Michael Stackpole is 66. So he was writing
Yeah.
the X-Wing books from
7 years before then, so or it was 5 years. So yeah, okay. God damn, I'm just trying to come to terms with being old and unsuccessful, I guess.
That like Lemony Snicket books are just such a rabbit hole of like the actual plot just isn't in the book. Like there's so many layers to that series that it's just amazing. It's just amazing. The VFD, the fact that like their mom is actually alive throughout the actual series, and you don't even know that unless you like do a thorough analysis of everything going on. I just love that shit. Just eat that right up.
Yeah, we used to read them in class. I think we got through like 7 or 8 books in 1 year, like just the teacher reading them to us, or reading them, making people read them.
What I'm saying is we should do the series of Unfortunate Events books for our next Young Reader series. But yeah, so Boba, he's a regular at the Camino Library in Tapoca City with his good friend who turns out to be a real one later on in the book. But the books on Camino being actual books. I was trying to think of like, how do these get shipped in? Do they have a library exchange program with somewhere else? But I guess Zam brings some for him, but then why would he have to go to the library for it?
It's just we're writing them himself. So he's like super pumped that someone's enjoying them.
He's just a Chat GPT librarian.
It's just droid replacement conspiracy theories. He's just radicalizing Boba.
Well, he's got no other framework for how the galaxy works. So it seems like when they're leaving Camino, that he's never actually been off planet before.
Yeah, but it kind of pulls that back pretty quickly.
Yeah, because I guess just being impressed by space, even if you've been there a few times, is fair enough. The Big Empty or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and yeah, I do like how he's like, he goes from Camino to Geonosis. Like
Yep.
the dude's got the worst time ever.
Well, you get a broad range of experiences from that.
Yeah, but they're both bad.
I
Like
did
just
think it was kind of weird that like you have that and then you go to Coruscant. I was like, this is fine.
yeah, it doesn't even
You know
mention it.
exactly where to
Just
go.
like one other planet. Oh yeah, go to that one bar. No problem.
Yeah,
I got it. Can handle that.
it's on autopilot already. But
Um,
he with the survival, Django has a pet eel
mhm.
for some reason,
Right,
and
because
so
Django leaves
Boba's
Boba at
yeah,
home like all the time. Like he goes
yep.
out, has to do stuff, semen sample for the Kaminoans. He just leaves Boba there for days. And he's
But
like,
Django, we can just take a hair.
no,
No,
I like to do it myself. Um, and uh, the way they do it is like he leaves like 5 pieces of toast out. He's like, once you've eaten all those toasts, I'll be back.
yeah. Feed one mouse to the thing every day, and then Boba being left in charge of feeding the seal. He's not mature enough for this because he wants to
No,
free all the mice that he's supposed to feed to the eel, and they get eaten or
and
killed in some other way,
he does a
anyways. So
terrible job.
yeah. Then he
Um,
has to free the eel when they're fleeing the planet, and it immediately gets eaten by something else as well. So
yeah, he just doesn't do a good job like at all. Um, he's kind of like the opposite of a Jason Solo because like he really, besides for that one creature, he kind of wants like nothing to do
mhm.
um with with any living thing.
Well, he
And
even says at the end, like he was kind of getting into the execution, like, of course we're doing this. It's for fun. It's great. When they're at the
yeah,
arena
yeah,
on Geonosis.
he's totally into it.
He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I know he's for sure a little, yeah. Um, and like the little like sand snake is like snuggling up to him, and he's like, "Get the fuck away from me!"
The only
When he wakes
creature
up,
that he wanted
he's
to
like,
stay
"Don't touch me."
alive was his dad and Zam Wessel, I guess. But the reason
Yeah.
that Boba's or that Django's gone and he has the 5 little mice to feed the eel is because Django's on that job with Zam to kill Padme. But
Mm-hmm.
he comes back. Boba basically sees Zam as his mom, because
Mm-hmm.
and his only other friend, I guess. So Django and Zam must work together a lot, and she's just at the apartment all the time. Fortunately, Django does have to shoot her, so
Yeah, he's like, "You don't want to know how she died, boy.
I did
It was she died. She died like a dog. I'll tell you that. I put her
it.
down like a dog." He's like, "Dad, don't tell me anymore." He's like a dog, boy.
Why didn't you
And,
shoot the
that's
Jedi
what
that were
happened.
over her at the moment that she was getting?
Yeah, like, did you not have a clean shot at the Jedi?
100%.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I was waiting. But I do
Well,
appreciate that the book doesn't try to make Boba into like a pure little boy who, you know, was corrupted. Like from the beginning, he's a little bit of a sicko, isn't he?
yeah, like he wants to be a bounty hunter like his dad.
Yeah.
Django wants a bounty hunter like himself to be existing in the galaxy when he's old and
Mhm.
able to be replaced by his own clone. So, is this
He's
what
very
Django's
excited
like as
about
a
the
kid? Maybe.
potential of yeah, he's very excited about the potential of shooting Obi-Wan as well.
Yeah,
Like when he's on the
like
landing platform because he does know how to, he's only 10, but he knows how to use the ship, which yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, he's been training for this forever, and then this guy just shows up. There's some bad acting between the two of them, of like
Mhm.
the possibly, and even Boba sees through that. So there's 3 times where he's
Yeah,
very happy that Obi Wan went.
it kind of does the Revenge of the Sith thing where like it's pretty much the same conversation as the movie, but like sometimes they'll add just a little extra line in there. And like
Yeah,
every time I'm like, I don't know if that line really added anything, but
no. There's at least one place where I
I'm
was like,
not
"Wait,
mad
did you
about it
just
being there.
copy the exact thing you just said from the movie and repeat it?" I think
Yeah.
there was. But I have one accidental note from this. I had a real note somewhere, but I don't. Oh, yeah. Okay. So never mind. That comes later. But yeah. So
My
when
note was only Boba's got no friends. LOL.
well, when Django is away, he certainly has no friends, and that's when he gets really into the books. But yeah,
Mhm.
so they head to Geonosis. They have the asteroid field fight where Boba's bloodthirsty side comes out, and then we get some of Django and Boba living on Geonosis. They have an apartment. There's some basic speaking Geonosians that sound like Scottish policemen in my head, at least.
Yeah, I was like, damn, they're speaking a lot of English for bugs. But I guess they can.
I mean, Poggle didn't even speak basic to Dooku.
Yeah, that's right. He just clicked, didn't he? I was thinking,
Yeah,
are there any Geonosians who speak? Yeah, even the one
I
in
don't know if they
Rebels just
can.
speaks bug.
It's like
No, they're like,
with Geonosians and Rhodians,
that was
like
pretty good.
the mouth shape. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was a slur, so don't say that again.
Sorry,
That was a
I
slur
didn't
for
mean to.
Geonosians without.
Cut
That.
the production. It's gonna make it
Can't
very
call
hard
Geonosians that
for
word
audio.
anymore.
But yeah, so they're on Geonosis. Boba sneaks out, and he's going to explore the planet, but he ends up finding that Obi-Wan is uh, is on the planet, and so
Mhm.
we get the feel that in Attack of the Clones, the reason that Obi-Wan is found and everything happens is Boba discovers him. So arguably, the Clone Wars are Boba's fault, and Django dying is also Boba's fault.
I was trying to think back, and like, goddamn, I can't even remember how Obi-Wan gets captured. All I remember is Count Dooku having him in his like sex swing and him sneaking into like the factory. Doesn't he? Does he not sneak into the factory and like look at the
Well,
separatist
he's
meeting? And I
over
don't remember.
he's looking over the thing, and then mentally, what I've
And
done with
that
it is
one's
I've
playing
turned
with
it
his nipples,
into
Wat Tambor. Like,
yeah,
"Ow."
the Techno Union, and you get the best remix in history from that. But
Yeah.
the way I picture it is Obi-Wan's looking at that meeting, and then he turns around, and Dooku's standing right there. But I made that up.
Saruman.
Master Kenobi, you're in the wrong franchise.
Yeah, I that's funny. I genuinely can't remember how he gets captured.
Well, we know what happens after is he gets strung up on the thing to get executed. They have one creature for Anakin, one creature for Padme, one creature for Obi-Wan. And the way that the
They were
book
nice
covers
that
this
way.
part of it is Boba thinking that Padme is incredibly beautiful, and the way he wants the execution to go down once they start escaping is for Boba to somehow help Padme escape, and then the two of them
Mhm.
would be sitting in the bleachers watching and laughing together as Anakin and Obi-Wan get eviscerated by these wild animals. Uh, but
Which I appreciate it. Man's gotta. He's not the first prepubescent boy who's fallen in love with Padme, and probably not the last.
it's never a good sign for anyone when any of these people there's no one that's been in love with Padme who didn't turn into a horrible person.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Poor Padme.
Well, hey, in canon, Boba's turned it around. So let's, you know. But I guess this is a legend story, so
Yeah, but we can assume like everything in here is compatible except for like even the Aura Singh stuff makes sense.
yeah,
So we can
yeah,
assume that this happened. And there
yeah.
it makes it make sense that Boba Fett, as in the book of Boba Fett, doesn't understand how municipal governments work. So I want to start a crime family that just does regular shit here. Oh, you want to be mayor? No, crime lord.
Yeah, it was crazy how War gave him a civics book and he left it there accidentally.
Oh, speaking of things left there accidentally, yeah. The
Oh
book
yeah,
when Zam
I always remembered
dies,
this part as a kid. I don't know why.
Django has a whole crisis about the fact that his job's dangerous. Someday he won't be there either because someone might shoot him who's supposed to be his friend, like he did to Zam.
Yeah,
And
legit.
so he records another message for Boba that's going to spit relevant knowledge at him at the right time. And when Boba goes to open it up, he's like, no, only open that if I'm dead.
I thought this was so cool. Like as a kid, I thought there was like an essence of Django back in there. I don't know why. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Could talk to his dead dad.
It's the tape recorder playing.
It's just like it's literally just like fortune cookies. Like talk to your coworkers and great success you will have. Like let's go.
Does Yoda do the fortune cookies in Halifax?
Might.
Okay. Well, with the execution underway, as we all know, Mace Windu shows up. The clones show up. Boba just kind of runs around the battle and gets his father's decapitated head that he hangs around with a bit. He gives Django a
the head?
nice.
He talks about the body, but
Well, the head's in the helmet.
no, the helmet's empty.
Okay. It is.
It is. If you watch the movie, the head actually, you can see the shadow on the ground as well.
Okay.
The head leaves and the helmet is empty.
Well, either way, they're not going to put that in a kid's book. So
no, like it says, he finds the empty helmet. The helmet's got no head in it.
Did it say empty for that part? Okay, empty.
Because I was wondering how they were going to. Because I remember in the movie that happening. So I was like, okay, how are they going to deal with this? Is his head going to be in it? Is it going to be
face? More familiar, in fact. It was bloody. It was empty. It was as blank and as final as the peer to the end of the book. Okay, bloody. That doesn't match.
I guess
up
there was a
with
little. Well, yeah, that's true.
So his head rolls out before Boba gets it, and then that gets scooped up by the cleaner droids after.
This is actually in the movie. When his head when he gets decapitated, there's two shadows on the ground. So his head goes flying and his helmet also goes flying.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair enough. What are the physics of that? I don't know. I'm guessing there was some sort of spring-loaded mechanism just for that purpose.
Inject in case of Boba.
Don't let my boy see this.
Whee! So the clones mistake Boba for one of them. He gets left on the battlefield. One of them tries to help him, but after the battle,
which would be
Boba
very
comes
traumatic.
Back. Yeah.
I never thought about that before. Like
the
for one, you'd think they'd recognize like that. Hey, that's a little clone out there. But also
they
for
did.
Him, I guess
he's like, oh, I thought it was one of us, and
yeah,
I don't know why they decide he couldn't be, but
because he is basically.
Yeah, just like, did one of the younger ones get accidentally transported out here? Who knows? But he marks
forces.
Boba marks the grave of Django with some bent battle droid arms that he pulled around to say JF. He makes both.
No
so
C.
If you're ever on, no, well, he's not bearing the Django Fett code. He hasn't even opened that. Well, the book version he has. He's heard the mental or the verbal one, which I think is supposed to be like, oh, this is just the bounty hunter's code. No, it's the Mandalorian code. No, it's just random bullshit that his dad made up. Like when there's the
10 rules for dating my teenage bounty hunter.
Yeah,
8 simple rules.
Yeah, I was picturing John Ritter at
dead dad.
Yeah. It really, I rewatched that show a while ago, like a long while ago, but it always. I don't think they even got to the full first season with John Ritter alive.
Really?
I always between the first and second.
Wow. See, I never watched it like in order, but like in my head, it was always like they made it like 3 seasons and then he died. But
yeah, I think it was okay, so they made it through 1 season, renewed for a second season, and production had begun. Ritter's sudden death on September 11th, 2003, left the series in an uncertain position. So September 11th was
the day John Ritter got replaced with David fucking Spade.
Well, Well, they replaced him a little bit later. How many episodes was he in? God, there was 28 episodes in the first season. Jesus Christ, Star Wars could never.
I know. That's what it used to be like back then. Even like premium, like I'm watching The Sopranos. I think season 1 had 12 or 14 episodes, and they're all long.
Yeah,
Like premium, yeah, 13 episodes. So
they went 3 seasons. The show is only 3 seasons long, and it was 76 episodes total.
wow, it's like some
It's
Clone Wars shit.
yeah. Well, with the Clone Wars
Even
now
like Breaking
underway,
Bad, that had, I think season 1. Yeah, season 1 of Breaking Bad was short, but then like season 5 had 16 episodes.
well, season 5 was split in half, right when it aired. It was like
Two-parters
8 and
also, I
8.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the other seasons were like 20 episodes for the most part, but or maybe a bit shorter. But yeah, 28 is just seems unreasonable. 24, sure. 28.
Well, like it's the same with like Roseanne. You ever watch Roseanne back in the day?
Yeah, yeah.
Like those were just, I really liked Roseanne, and those shows were just like they just filmed them in front of a live studio audience. You know, obviously not saying it doesn't take work, but like film it in front of a live studio audience. You kind of just very simple
Yeah, you're into
sets.
one set.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So like they had 10 seasons of Roseanne with 230 episodes.
I just remember that Rory was hamster baiting.
I don't remember that.
That's the only joke I remember where like I think the brother turned into a hamster and then uh like I think Rory's hamster baiting again. So there's a
I just remember Roseanne's bathroom was really sick. It was like very like when people talk about like the 80s nostalgia where it's like all pink and like palm tree, that's like Roseanne's bathroom.
well you can probably still see it because the Connors is still on. Just
It is,
Roseanne's the
yeah.
dead one instead of Dan.
Well, it was kind of yeah, true. But it was kind of weird too because yeah, Dan dies and then they before Roseanne was racist. Well, I mean before we knew Roseanne was racist, they actually rebooted Roseanne before it became the
Yeah.
Connors.
Yeah. And then that
yeah.
lasted like a season or two before Roseanne was removed from it. And
I think
then
it was just one, yeah.
Yeah. Because like it wasn't even that Dan died in the show. Like the final season of Roseanne's first run, like the
Yeah.
last episode was just a reveal that like Roseanne, as it had happened, was just like fan fiction that Roseanne had written about her life after Dan had died of a heart attack or something. And I think like he might have died in it was related to the war in Iraq or something. I forget exactly what the
Fat guy
reasoning
dies
was
of a
for
heart
it.
attack. Classic.
But
He's not fat
Boba,
anymore though. John Goodman, he's like skinny now.
is it? Oh, right. Yeah. I always get Tom Arnold as Roseanne's actual husband and John Goodman as the fake husband mixed up. But anyways,
did you ever watch Mike and Molly?
not
Or
like
are you familiar with
but
it?
I'm familiar with the.
So I never watched an episode of my life, but like that's a show where like it used to see commercials for it every day. On the guy from Mike and Molly, he must have lost like 200 pounds. Have you seen him? He's like, look up his name is Billy Gardle. Look up Billy Gardle weight loss because he's on a show called I forget what it's called. Bob Hart's Abby Sola, I think, and he's like,
Yeah,
he's good for him.
yeah. Take some work.
Yeah.
Man, how I thought Mike and Molly was Kevin James.
No, yeah.
But you know who's not Kevin James is Boba Fett, who now is fatherless. And one of the messages from Django says, if I'm gone, find Count Dooku. He'll give you the money that I put aside for you. So I guess Dooku is just like the bank for this
now.
guy.
Yeah.
And well, Boba doesn't know where Dooku could be. So he goes to the moons of Bogdan, which is where Django had encountered Count Dooku.
Yeah, he really takes quite a leap of faith.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that Count Dooku was there at some point, even though I know he was last seen on the planet I'm on right now, which Republic occupied now, so obviously you can't
Yeah, that's
still
true.
be there.
That's true.
But with absolutely no leads, the kid just goes and gets robbed like 3 or 4 times. We get a nice little heist in the middle here, but he lands poorly, breaks the strut, gets ripped off by the guy offering to fix it. Because one of the first tips that
Don't
Django
trust
says,
anybody. If it's
well,
too
don't trust anyone.
if it's too good to be true, it is basically.
Don't give anyone full information about what you're bargaining with or whatever. And he's like, well, I have 250
Always
credits.
wash your butthole.
Yep. That I don't think he's actually made it to that one yet.
Oh no, that's the next book. Yeah,
Yeah. So actually,
Count Dooku has to sit him down and tell him he stinks.
he'd forgotten that he had given the book to the library on the way off Camino.
Yeah,
So there's a whole little thing where he doesn't have it
because it
yet.
looks like a book, so he's got it with his other books. Because one thing that's not in the movie, when Django and Boba Fett are doing their desperate flee from Camino, I'm not joking. Boba Fett goes and returns his library books.
Yep. That's when he releases the eel.
Yeah.
But the librarian tries to call him, be like, oh, come back. You forgetting something, but instead of just throwing the book at the little shit, he doesn't do anything. But that means that when Boba comes back for the book, is able to be like, well, there's a fine on this because we've had it for too long, and sets Boba up with 250 credits. Like what
I
a
like
what
that,
a guy.
yeah.
Absolute amazing move. Great stuff.
Yeah, you'd think Django would have some credits on his ship.
At least 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, like literally nothing. Boba has 250 credits, gets swindled out of 200 for a ship repair. The guy takes Slave 1 and is going to strip it for parts, but then some other guy that he's helped is like, oh, we'll go and get that back. And then he wants to help him in a heist. So they get some fake credits, but he takes the fake credits because he's really not learning that you don't trust people.
To be fair, though, he does get it fixed. And for 250 credits, he breaks like 2 struts.
Yeah, it was a good price, but he was like never actually going to fix the ship for him. So
No.
Until he got caught. And then as soon as you're caught, this is the thing with these guys. As soon as you're caught, you own up to it, and now you're
laughing like chums because you almost ripped off a 10-year-old boy, but you did not.
Yeah. And the other people who rip him off are these bounty hunters who there's a bounty out for Boba now because I guess the Republic or the Jedi put a bounty on him is what I'm understanding from this.
Like, bro, he's tech. Chill.
Yeah. So they're the ones that tell him, you know what? If you're looking for Count Dooku, go to Steve's Backhole Bar on Coruscant and say you're looking for him.
Of all places,
They'll
yeah.
set you up.
The dude's like 10. Just fucking kidnap him.
Yeah, it's not difficult. Like they made it there before he did. They could easily have just taken him on their ship, but instead they're like, oh, he'll get there eventually, I guess.
They just didn't want to be like the guys who kidnapped a 10-year-old. It's just a tough look. It's like, oh, you kidnapped a 10-year-old, really? Okay.
Well, they wanted the credit for it.
Sicko. Yeah.
Well,
but they didn't want to be those guys. Yeah.
Well, no one wants to be those guys, but in their line of work, they've signed up to be those guys. There's nothing else you can do about it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. So he gets to the bar on Coruscant with no directions other than this bar on Coruscant in the Undercity. So there he goes. And the bounty hunters are there. The bartender, I guess, who's in on this is there. And Boba's like, well, hold on. If you get me to Count Tyrannus, he'll give you more money, or I'll be able to give you more money. And then he gives a fake phone number for Count Dooku.
867-5309. Yep. Ask for Jenny.
I got it.
I know you did. Some of our viewers are younger, though.
No, that's the next line in this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But someone didn't get it. But luckily, for everyone involved, Aura Singh shows up. Papews. But now she kidnaps him.
She's got mixed intentions. She does kidnap him.
A little bit. Only a little bit.
A little bit. She takes the ship. like she knew Django. I feel like there may even be a love story out there between her and Django in one of the other novels. I can't remember. But she does deliver him to Raxus, which is where Count Dooku is.
Yeah,
And
Raxus
then
Prime.
and then she fucks off with Slave One.
Yeah.
Or
then
sings
Boba will never
Starship,
see
I
it
mean.
again.
Yeah. And
So
it's going to
that's
lead us into
where
the next book when it's going to tie into I believe it ties into the Attack of the Clones video game for the Xbox.
there's a good amount of video game tie-ins for this. So we'll continue to go down the Boba Fett rabbit hole here. But how is this stacking up compared to the other young adult readers? Or fucking, I'm gonna keep doing that. Junior
Better than
reader.
every Jedi Prince.
Yep.
Better than the worst Young Jedi Knight, in my opinion.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I think
It has some heart.
It has
some heart, but the story is not as interesting as yeah.
Well, we're getting a nice psychological profile of a psychopathic 12-year-old.
Yeah, he's already a sick puppy for sure.
Very sick puppy. When that reek got put down on Gino, it's like, yes, I fucking hate animals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is.
Any other thoughts, Corey? What about you? You agree? And any other thoughts in the novel?
You mean I agree with his treatment of animals, or I agree with your assessment of the
just the everything? Just any last thoughts?
Okay, well then I disavow all of Boba's treatment of animals in this book and any other books, and also in Book of Boba Fett. Why not?
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. See how the relationship with Aura develops, because I think she's in basically all of the other ones now. I think we're gonna maybe see some Bosk. Who knows what's gonna happen? So it's all gonna be
the whole crew will be around.
There you go.
Do we?
How about you? Anything?
No. Do we have any emails or anything we want to get to before we end?
Yeah, I guess I can fire up the old email account, and see what offers for fake sponsorships we've been given. We got an email from Mike titled "Email question: Do not skip, not an ad, I swear."
Okay.
Was this from you? Did you write this email to us?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, so Mike says, "Hi, Corey and Trevor. Which NJO video game would you rather have? An OG Battlefront 3 featuring New Republic and Yuzhan Vong, or a Jedi Outcast / Academy sequel you play as Kyle Katarn during the Vong War? Please be specific." Dark, thank you. Mike.
Definitely the second one.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, can you imagine how boring it'd be to play as the Vong? You'd be throwing thud bugs and whipping people with your staff.
I mean, I was never a big fan of Battlefront 2-1, so I'm well noted as a hater of that. And I just like the Jedi Academy games or Jedi Knight games are just so much fun. The story's
they're a blast. The Vong would be fun to fight as well. I mean, it would remove. You wouldn't be able to. I guess you wouldn't be able to force lightning them or force push them. You could throw things at them, and they'd be an interesting enemy. They'd be different than because in the other games, it's like you've got the stormtroopers and dark Jedi and sometimes special enemies. The dark Jedi are kind of assholes to fight, but you get one hit on them and they're dead, so it's kind of interesting. I guess the Vong would be kind of the same way, but without the force powers.
Yeah, you get the Slayers towards the end, maybe. So you got some Jedi-like enemies, which I mean, the lore on that's kind of weird. They might actually be Jedi. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But 100% Jedi Knight. Seeing more Kyle during the Vong War, like we get in.
That would be that would make sense too, because you'd get to be continuing his story because he's not really there much, and then get him in. Yeah.
Yep. So thank you, Mike. I think we're all on the same page there, at least. Podbean saying your episode is ready for review. Colleen is once again immediately requesting help. And we have a question from Paul, who is asking, long time no see. I know this isn't relevant to the story you're reading now, but I want to say I was listening to Outbound Flight audiobook and thought it was great. Definitely a fave of mine. My main question is that I recall you guys mentioning Outbound Flight was technically canon since events similar to it are mentioned in the first Ascendancy book. Do you think the events of Outbound Flight could technically be canon since it doesn't really conflict with the new canon too much? And do you think Jorah Sabayoth could fit into the canon as well? Found him to be a very interesting character, if not kind of an asshole and this story definitely helps me appreciate Thrawn all the more.
There are elements that can work. Like, just to be clear, the idea of there being something like the outbound flight is canon. But the
specific events and characters.
Yeah, in the specific book certainly is not. Even if they made the outbound flight canon, it wouldn't make the rest of the book. I know most of you know that, but some of you might be confused. Like, there are aspects of Thrawn's character that have been changed. Like, the big one that I'm thinking of is how he's exiled, where in canon it's like explicitly a plan to join the Empire, and it's a false exile. So some of that stuff would need to be changed. And I mean, and also in the outbound flight, that's really, from what I remember, one of his first times ever encountering things outside the unknown region and Palpatine.
Yeah.
So that would need to change, but the basic idea, I think, fits.
Yeah, like Zan overall views his stuff as one thing as much as is reasonably possible, because he doesn't really want to deal with anyone else's stories at any point. So you can generally assume that, like, broad strokes, the story of Outbound Flight is what's influencing what Zahn is doing in the Ascendancy trilogy. So the references are bringing like the ship itself and what Thrawn was generally up to beforehand into it. But yeah, a lot of the details are not going to be the same, or shouldn't be expected to be the same. Mm-hmm. And because that book already exists in Legends, it's probably not going to ever really be directly told in canon.
Yeah. It may be a short story or something somewhere.
Paul also asked if we were going to review it anytime soon. It's definitely on the list of ones we want to do. It just comes down to when we're done with NJO or any other books like that we're not doing that aren't. So it's really, we want to get NJO done, and any other books that we're putting in between NJO are things that are like relevant because they're being released now, or like with Dark Disciple, they're tied into something that is coming out in a meaningful way. So Outbound Flight would probably be one of the ones that we do after NJO, but it's hard to say.
Yep.
But I think that's the last email that's in here for this week. So I think that's it.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So next week, as mentioned, we're going to read Dark Disciple in preparation for the Bad Batch Season 3. And then once the Bad Batch Season 3 starts, we'll be working review episodes into our show, obviously. But in the meantime, if you got any questions or comments or concerns, feel free to email us, tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening, and see you next week. We're also going to play Enshrouded on X2 and Corey Lewis.
I have no idea what this game is, but
it's a survival game of some kind. I think it's the one that I brought up last year, wasn't it? Or was that Banished? I don't fucking remember.
Bro, I don't know.
We're going to play games.
Yeah, we're going to play it.
Bye,
I'm sure it'll be fun. Bye-bye.